Hello again, and Mrs. Doran here again. I hope you're well and you've been busy designing your mythical creature from yesterday. So, as promised, I have drawn my own mythical creature. Here it is. It took me a while, but it's called a lion ape because obviously, as I said yesterday, it's half lion and it's half snake. So today we're going to start to write a mythical beast poem based on the Medusa poem that we looked at yesterday. So there we go. I put my date and I've done my learning intention as we do every lesson when we go into this. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So there you can see my mythical beast plan. So what I have done, and you can do this now as well if you haven't done it, is I've gone round and I've had a think about some of those things that we wrote down in the toolkit yesterday that I needed to include. So I thought about its home. I decided, as you know, that it lives in sand dunes, maybe in a tunnel. I'm thinking about all these images, like I put a maze in the slipping sand. Sorry, you can't quite read that bit, but it's there. And I thought about some verbs to describe it, because if you remember yesterday, we put that in our toolkit as well. So I also thought of some emotions about how it's feeling. And again, you can't read those very well, but I'll read it to you. So it says hateful, angry, outraged. Okay. And then its personality is menacing and evil. It's bizarre looking, that's its appearance. And its eyes are as dark as a haunting shadow. So I thought of some ideas. I'm hoping that you will have got at least that many, if not a few more, because obviously the more ideas we have, the better our plan will be, the better images we will see, and that it will become to life more in the reader's head. Because although you might think that we're writing to inform, we're actually writing to entertain. So we are writing the poem so the reader can have all those images in his head and be entertained by your thoughts. Right, so that's my plan. Now, to help me do my plan, I used something quite handy. I used this. This is called a mythical beast workbook. And what I did, along with the other year 3 teachers, is we went through and we had a little think about all the different vocabulary that you might want to use in your mythical beast plan. So when I was doing my plan, because I had this already, I used it. So I went through and I picked out 3 different verbs that I thought described my mythical beast. And I also looked and found some similes. Now, we didn't say similes in our original toolkit, but when myself and the other year 3 teachers were talking about it, we thought actually similes are a really good way of comparing for the reader, to give the reader a picture in their head. So we've also got some feelings down there, because we said that feelings were really important in the actual original Medusa poem. Lots of verbs in there that you could use again, because we said again that was quite important, and some nouns in there, or some noun phrases that you might want to use too. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking just for a minute and give you a few minutes to go back on your plan and use at least one of idea from each section and put it onto your plan. If you're using verbs, you might need to put a few more into there, okay? So I'm going to say, you're going to pause it. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes while you go and use these word banks. And don't forget, you can print these off as well, if you'd like to, and then highlight them at the words that you're going to use. Okay, you ready? Right, okay. Pause. Off you go. Hello, that was quick, wasn't it? You're back? You ready? I hope you've written down some ideas using your poem. And obviously, if you're not sure about what any of these words means, I hope you use a dictionary or asked an adult or a grown-up or somebody else in your house what they mean. There's no point using these words if you're not sure what they mean. Okay, so that's the word bank. Don't forget, you can come back to it any time you want to, ready to do your poem. So here we go. This is the Medusa poem. And if we look at it again, you can see it starts with golden goddess, jewel of Athens. Thousands of hungry eyes feasted on her beauty, but she ached for love. Tricked, deceived, punished. Jealous Athena is not to be angry. A storm-soaked island is now her home, a slithering sister crowned by serpents, bone-white skin and putrid breath. Transformed, despised and cursed, living in a museum of the fossils, and damned. Heroes, egos, the unfortunate and lost, scream still on their lips. Her horrible form is the last thing they will see. No more aching for love, only for the sword. Okay, so when you look at the poem, you can see the first part of it is really where it says golden goddess, is about what Medusa was like before she turned into a beast. And then after that, there's 3 verbs: tricked, deceived, punished. So what I'm going to do is when I start my poem is I'm going to use that as my starting point. And I'm going to think of 3 verbs to describe my animal. In fact, I think I've done that already and put them on my plan. I'm not going to do the first part, but if you're feeling really kind of like into this poem and thinking about how your beast was before it became beast, then obviously you can do that too. You don't have to do exactly what I do, because being a poem and the poet is subjective, which means you can use all your different ideas and you don't necessarily have to do what I'm doing, but I'm just going to give you an idea. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is how I'm going to structure my poem. Remember, it's all about the mythical beast. So I'm going to start with 3 verbs. I'm going to put each verb on a new line to start my poem. Then I'm going to describe my poem. And I'm sure that I put some ideas around my mythical beast, my lion-ache, yesterday. Describe it. And then I'm describing a little bit about the personality. Obviously, it's not going to be a very nice personality. It's going to be quite grim, I think. And describe its feelings. Remember, we put down emotions in our toolkit. And if you want to see what's on the toolkit, you can always scroll back on the PowerPoint, which is also uploaded into the home learning plan. And I'm going to describe where it lives, if it's got any family, because you remember about the storm-soaked island where Medusa lives. And last of all, I'm going to describe what the beast does to anybody who attacks them. Okay, so obviously if any heroes come wandering around. Now, this is my first draft, so it is possible that I might forget something. But that's okay if I forget something today, because tomorrow I'm going to redraft it and look through and see if I've made any spelling mistakes, or look through and see if I can edit my poem, make it even better. Now, there used to be a program, I think it's on TV still, called Blue Peter, and it says, here's one I do earlier. Usually, if teachers are at school, we sit there and do this with you, and we'd all do a class one. But because, unfortunately, some of you are not at school today, I've had to do my own. So, using some of the ideas that I wrote around here, I've gone through. I've got my date, as you can see, which is now Wednesday, and I've got my learning intention. I know how to write to entertain, and it's a mythical beast poem, The Lion-Ache. So, I've started off with those 3 verbs: slithering, new line; cursed, new line; bellowing. Okay, so that describes how it's moving, but also the sounds that it's making, and also the fact that it's cursed, which means that no one likes it. Golden fur, matted and twisted. So now going to the appearance, and again, you can do more about each one if you want to, but I've had not as much time as I would like to do it, shall we say. Rusty scales glowing in the last rays of the setting sun. Now there, I could have just said rusty scales, and that would have been right. But actually, if I put rusty scales glowing in the last rays of the setting sun, then the reader gets a bit more context, it gets a bit more of an idea, and get a bit more of a picture in their head. So that's why I added more detail. And don't forget, it's useful for you to as well. Then I've got hateful, outraged, angry, and that describes its personality. This is a very evil kind of creature. It's not happy at all. You would not want to go anywhere near it. Living in windswept, desolate sand dunes. So that's about its home. Victims isolated in its elaborate home, twisting and turning, desperate. And that's about what's happening to the people that have found its way towards this beast, towards the Lion-Ache. You don't want to go near it. It's a bit like the Minotaur. You're going to get lost in its labyrinth, and then who knows what's going to happen. Okay, now I'm going to leave my poem there. However, I know by looking at it, there's some bits that I've forgotten. And so tomorrow's lesson, we're going to look through our poems again and see how we can improve it. I'm looking forward to reading all yours as well. Don't forget, you've got to create that picture in the reader's mind. That's where the entertainment comes in. Use as many of the word bank as you can, but don't forget, it's all about the picture. We talk about all the time. It's got to be entertaining. Expand your ideas and make the reader actually believe that that creature is there, hiding in the desert or wherever. Okay, once again, I'm looking forward to reading everything. Please send any poems that you write to your teachers. We'd love to see them. Thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you in the near future.